We are back. Hello, everyone. My name is Julius.
I'm Brian.
Brian is here to talk about some DC stuff, the DCEU. We are on the journey to the Snyder Cut. It is coming out soon. I hope everyone is excited. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why am I wearing a ridiculous hat on camera? Well, I've worn this hat on camera several times, especially during a very specific review that I did a couple years ago with Angel. And said review was for a film that we just got out of that night. And that film was... Hold on, I gotta set it up. The Suicide Squad.
Ooh, yes.
Right.
Look at that group.
Yes, this is a group of sorts.
Look at that unit. Yeah.
So, we are here to talk about the Suicide Squad. It is their turn to be discussed within the journey to the DCEU's Zack Snyder's Justice League. So, before anything, Brian, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. Just a little bit tired, but pretty good.
Okay, I just want to make sure you're okay before we have to go to battle. Make sure you're well rested.
Of course, yes.
I'm doing
conflicting
fine.
Ideas on this film.
Of course. Before you get your ass whooped, you got to make sure it's tender.
Of course.
Now, the Suicide Squad is obviously a team that has risen in the ranks of popularity of DC and their catalog of characters plus teams. The Suicide Squad was not really the most known team before certain projects came out, like, for instance, the Batman Assault on Arkham animated film, which was a film that was about the Suicide Squad set within the Batman Arkham game universe. It's a really cool animated film that I recommend to everyone. Brian, have you seen that?
Oh, yes, I have. Oh, so many times. It's really great.
It's really great. I mean, I was actually shocked. I was like, yes. This is what we need in the live action film. This is exactly what it is. I feel like that was a great introduction for most people of the Suicide Squad, unless they were reading comics. They were watching certain shows like the Justice League Unlimited series, where we didn't get the Suicide Squad. We got Task Force X because that is a kid's show, and to have a group called the Suicide Squad may, raise some red flags, right? For parents. It could easily end up in cancellation.
Exactly.
So we've seen them before, right? Different variants of the team, different characters on the team, different leaders, and different eras of the team. Now, in 2016, we had gotten the film by David Ayer. David Ayer is a director who's been around for quite a while, and he's done a lot of really good films, one of which was End of Watch. I was typing in his name, but I put in Dayer. David Ayer is a really cool director, and he's got this dark edge to his projects, which I could see that being the reason as to why he decided to do the Suicide Squad, because those are criminals, essentially. War criminals, street criminals, super villains on that team. You could understand why someone who did something like the movie with Jake Gyllenhaal, the End of Watch, and Fury with Brad Pitt and a whole bunch of castmates would do something as dark and different as the Suicide Squad. Let me show you a picture of David Ayer right now. There he is right there, surrounded by a bunch of his
There he
his
is,
films.
folks. There he is.
Looking like he should be writing a novel or something. He actually looks like Johnny Depp's character in that horror film. I forgot exactly which one it was. But this is David Ayer, as you can see.
He kind of reminds me of Nicolas Cage's character in Mandy.
Oh, Red.
Yeah.
There's David Ayer. So, Brian, you heard that Suicide Squad was going to be a film coming out. I'm not asking what you thought about the film yet.
Yes.
But what did you think about the announcement?
The announcement. Well, recently, during that time of 2016, I was like, well, hopefully this will make DC really good, because I had just watched Man of Steel, and I was like, well, I'm kind of really disappointed on what they're doing so far. So I had really huge high hopes on that. Oh, this is going to be like a really great movie. It's going to be like Avengers level sort of DC sort of stuff like that. This is going to be a very edgy movie, but not edgy in the sense of edgy as in very cringy.
Well,
Oh wow.
I mean, that's not what you were thinking.
I also thought it was gonna be really cool. Just, in general as a film, I wasn't really like the biggest DC fan growing up and stuff like that. So I was really
Right.
just excited to sort of see DC in movie theaters first, and then later on get introduced later on to comics and other stuff of other things like that. But definitely after watching Suicide Squad, I definitely saw the Arkham series, and I definitely saw a lot more things with the Suicide Squad and how
Right.
they sort of came around. And man, did I feel really disappointed
With the film.
with the film
Well,
after the thought of knowing.
we'll get to that.
We'll get to that part, yeah.
See, when they announced different aspects of what the movie was going to be, right? They announced different. There were rumored cast members, but they did announce certain people and characters were going to be introduced of this world in that film. One of which was Jared Leto as the Joker, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, and this got people excited. This actually did get people excited about seeing the film because those are pretty good actors. It makes sense beforehand that oh, okay, I saw him in Dallas Buyers Club. He was pretty
Mhm.
cool in that. Margot Robbie was in the Wolf on Wall Street. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
And it should have been cool, but I'm looking for right now the fan art because there was a lot of fan art about it. There was a report that Jai Courtney would be playing Captain Boom, or not Captain Boomerang, Deadshot, and Will Smith would be playing Captain Boomerang. But then obviously that turned into the exact opposite situation. And oh, here's one. I found one of Jared Leto way before we saw anything of him as the Joker. Oh, geez, hold on a second. Let me show you right now. There he is. See, this is
Oh
what
boy.
people were expecting. This type of darkness, this type of color, this type of Joker. This is what people were really getting excited for. And I feel like movies like this were part of the fan art culture within the comic book films. That this is when it really started being pumped out to the point where people were like, man, I'm actually really looking forward to this. Let me make some art to depict my excitement for a film. And there it is right there.
All the hopes and dreams of all the Suicide Squad fans.
Boss Logic was one of these guys who did some artwork for the Suicide Squad. So let's talk about the team, okay?
Of course.
And we'll see how we feel about this. Just the names alone, okay?
Of course, yeah.
We have the team, which is Deadshot, Harley Quinn, Rick Flag, El Diablo, Captain Boomerang, Katana, and Killer Croc. And Rope Guy.
And Rope Guy, yeah. Let's not forget about him.
I forgot the actual guy's name.
I believe it's Whiplash.
No, I think that's a Marvel character.
Slipknot.
Slipknot, like the band.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the band. Perfect.
So, what do you think about this team? Do you think this works as conceptually as a team that we could follow in a movie about these criminals and stuff?
Well, as a sort of coming into, would you like my first impressions or just
yes, your first
an overall? Well,
first impressions.
My first impressions, I was kind of really excited to see Killer Croc and stuff like that because I didn't really see him in a whole lot of stuff within DC movies, mostly just their games, and I really wanted to get like that really cool practical look of what Croc could have been with like the huge ginormous head and stuff,
right?
Or even a little bit of CGI where it was necessary for fight scenes, of course. At the end of the day, Killer Croc was kind of like really disappointing in the after product and stuff, especially with weird lines that they kind of gave him.
Oh yeah.
Will Smith in Killshot's character, Will
Deadshot?
Smith is within Deadshot. Will Smith is a very half and half kind of actor. You either love him or you hate him, depending on what roles he kind of chooses. As an action movie star, he's very conflicting, but at the same time, I enjoy him. I could kind of take him or leave him for this character. I wasn't really too intrigued with him. He's not really like a very emotionally at-depth character, especially when they gave him like a really interesting backstory with his sort of life is very, very a cross with Amanda Waller sort of forcing him to go to prison and stuff like that in the safety of everyone's lives, but at the same time it is at the cost of his daughter's life and her growing up being able to with her father, and it's very interesting, but they sort of glance over that in a majority of the film. I was really, like you said, with hearing about Margaret Robbie playing in as
Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was thinking of like her work within Wolf of Wall Street and other things that she had worked from before, and I was really excited to see this. It was, I think that she can always improve, especially right after what happened with Birds of Prey. I feel like she has definitely more room to improve.
Hmm.
Depending on how they want to, make a screen time with her, uh, and stuff like that. Definitely, who is writing her character? I definitely need to talk with them personally. And then, Captain Boomerang, I thought he was all right. I wasn't really that intrigued. It was you would have imagined that we were going to have greater connections within the characters, very similar we had seen within Avengers. We are introduced to new characters like Hawkeye and like Black Widow. I mean, though we are introduced to Black Widow and Iron Man 2, we
Right.
get to see a little bit more about her character and her relationship with Hulk and with a lot of the other Avengers a little bit more better than we did within this film, because this film was sort of, we saw characters, we saw this sort of references with that from past comic books and stuff, but we don't really see that connection of them as a team, And I feel like within the Arkham series, we kind of do see that, even though that some of them do, spoiler alert, some of them do kind of betray one another in order for them to sort of have that
Yeah.
sense of, I am going to live and you can all die. We don't really have that real big sense, and it does kind of end off very family, with Vin Diesel sort of, we got this,
Right.
So yeah, I would say that's my overall thought.
Well, this is definitely just looking at the team.
Mhm.
First impressions. It makes sense that this would be a Suicide Squad
Yeah.
team. The look of them, I think, is fine, um, and I think that they could work like conceptually. Right before
Yeah.
seeing the
I was gonna say
film,
El
I
Diablo
was
looks like my
thinking,
uncle.
look, yeah, exactly. Like it's the one look that we get from Mexican men.
Yeah.
We-
Very bead.
yeah, I mean, geez, we'll get to that. I swear to God.
Yeah.
But just looking at it, I think it looks cool.
Mhm.
Right, the team is cool. I want them to make room for each other to grow with each other, to have cool
Mhm.
interactions, to make sense as to why they're on the team in the first
Exactly.
place. I think
Yeah.
that's a very big important point of having whoever you're having on your team, right? There, before the first Avengers film came out, there were arguments of like, what's Black Widow gonna do? What's
Mhm.
Hawkeye gonna do? Right? Like these are characters that are relatively useless compared to someone like the Hulk or Thor. But in the movies we saw, that wasn't the case.
Mhm.
We saw
They
that
can hold up
someone,
their own weight, and even sometimes even better depending on
right,
the situation.
exactly. I mean, we saw essentially in that first film Hawkeye cripple the team
Oh yeah.
in the first like 2 acts of that film. So I'm hoping for that type of chemistry and that
Mhm.
type of writing with this team. Now, the reality of the
The reality.
situation. So,
Actually,
Brian,
Julius, do me a huge favor. Let's knock off Slipknot. Let's just take him out, because the
well, that's
reality
the
is
thing, man. That's the thing, man. So, ideally, like we were saying, these characters would have great use in the script and great use in this overall story, but that just doesn't turn out to be the case,
Yeah.
especially with my boy here.
Poor Slipknot.
Slipknot.
Which I feel
Um,
like, though I am kind of sad that he died in the beginning, I kind of wonder what could he have been used.
well, that's what I'm saying. A lot of these characters, based on the concept of the film, the idea of like they frame the film in that Superman dies, right?
Mhm.
Superman is dead. We need a team that
A
will
team,
stop the next Superman, who
Superman.
if he goes evil. But some of these choices just don't work for that. For instance, Slipknot, Captain Boomerang, Harley Quinn, Deadshot maybe, Killer
Yeah,
Croc
I was gonna say
maybe,
you
El
can
Diablo
eliminate
maybe,
everyone but El Diablo, Killer Croc, and Deadshot.
and
Everyone else you
Katana
could just,
maybe,
yeah,
maybe.
and Enchantress. I mean,
Well, Enchantress is the villain of the film.
yeah,
Yeah, she's
she's
just
just
here
not
for
gonna
the
follow
promotional part.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah, she's not going to do anything. But so under that premise, it starts to kind of fall apart. And I feel like the movie suffers in that it doesn't know what to do with a lot of the characters, unfortunately. Um, so how do you feel about the premise of this team getting together, being forced together because they all have bombs within their necks? If they don't do what they're told, they're going to be killed, assassinated. Do you think that works with the we need to prepare for the next Zod?
I think it slightly doesn't, kind of slightly doesn't, depending on the situation. In theory, in a very broad term, it works really well. Similar to my thoughts on what was that movie again? Battle Royale. I love that movie
Right.
because it has a very similar premise. You are putting bomb collars around your neck and you have to kill one another to be able to gain your freedom. And it's sort of the same concept, except it's more or less we are forcing you to fight someone that could be as bad as you in the near future, and we're
Right.
threatening you to do it. But I feel like in a conceptual reality, this would never really work. Though I believe that a villain would be sort of, more cooperating in the sense of, well, I do want to live, so I guess I can do whatever you guys want me to do. Realistically, I
Yeah.
think they're more evil enough to just be like, why would I want to help the grainer of humanity when I could just, on the most evilest of villains, just take me out right now. I have a master plan.
Well, there are also deals that are placed with some Suicide Squad members, like you
Mhm.
do this for me, I'll shave off like 10 years off your
Of
sentence,
course, yeah.
right?
We
So
see that with
so
Deadshot with his
exactly, because
yeah.
Deadshot, who's definitely the protagonist of the film, I don't care what anyone says, he's definitely the lead
Oh
of
yeah, he
this.
definitely is, yeah.
He has the most character, especially showing his daughter, the relationship he has with his daughter,
Mhm.
how she looks up to
It's
him,
actually
even though
Ben
he's an
Affleck's
assassin.
Batman for that first couple
Oh,
seconds.
please.
He's the
You're
main
nice.
character.
You're really nice. Um, so I feel like, uh, look, man, like there's ways of world building, right?
Mhm.
And using Superman's death, it makes sense. But I feel like just with a team that's I mean, these are essentially the expendables of this world.
It's
So
very
like,
true.
why are you trying to apply
This
it to
is
this
the B
mystical,
team.
like, yeah, I mean, they have them disable a small country, fight private armies,
Mhm.
do dirty work for foreign nations. Like, like we're gonna have them fight a wizard, you know?
We're gonna have him fight the man who can literally like erase time and go back in time and
Right.
freeze with his breath,
Heat vision.
heat vision.
So
Yeah.
I would love to see it. We saw Justice League 2017 where he basically took his own team out.
Mhm.
These people are gonna do something to
these
Superman.
these people will do nothing. And
Even the guy who spits fire. It's like we saw in Man of Steel what happens with fire in Superman. All right, he lets people set on fire before he gets fired. All right, but of all these characters, Brian, which do you think was the most compelling and the most best utilized?
I was going to say I feel like the focus though was heavily introduced mostly on Enchantress and sort of like her beginnings and origins, and really focusing on like, you can kind of really see it from a mile away. Oh, she's going to be the main villain. I believe the very first half is very written well to sort of us be very sympathetic towards she as a villain, and then towards the second half with her
Oh
flirting
yeah,
was sort of
hips.
really, yeah, with her hex side, which made me feel really weirded out, not really sort of sympathetic to her anymore, or even view her as a reliable villain. It was very similar to
Yeah,
Big Gray Villain, where
big
I
gray mud.
Mud, yeah.
Swamp Thing
um
without the Swamp Thing.
so true. Man Thing. No.
Yeah.
But and then I know that they were trying really heavily introduce like a sort of reliability within Katana's character, with her trying
Right.
to have like this weird sympathetic revenge story, similar to how Old Boy is sort of taken in and then he has to sort of like fight his way out and sort of get revenge for his daughter and his family. But it
Right.
just never really came off like that, especially with that crying scene. I kind of felt weirded out.
Well, that's one thing that I think is the biggest flaw because of all the characters that some are so in depth and some are just very shallow,
Mhm.
and is reflected within the tone of the film. Because in one moment you're gonna have something that's really like what the katana scene where she's crying, she's speaking Japanese, she's talking to the souls that are encapsulated in her sword, which is by the way just thrown in there. Oh,
Oh
hey,
yeah.
you don't want to mess with her because
Don't want to
the
mess with her.
souls are in
The
the
souls are
katana.
in her katana.
It's like, okay, dude. And so she's not joking, she's crying. And then a dude right after this really like well acted scene on her part makes some joke. And like that happens throughout the whole film. Like there's this part where
There's really no moment to breathe, and even when
no
there's
man,
scenes which are
unfortunate.
like you would imagine are really intense and sad, they sort of really get glanced over. And I'm not even gonna lie, I'm not gonna lie when I say this. I felt like I had more I felt like I had more character depth with the Marines that went with Killer Croc in the tunnel with any of the other characters. And I felt more sad for them dying than anyone else.
Well, there's this part where like Harley Quinn is trying to escape.
Hmm.
Amanda Waller's there on top of the
Yeah.
roof, and she tells Floyd, the Deadshot
Yeah,
character,
sure.
to kill her.
Will Smith.
Yeah, it's like kill her. Will Smith. Yeah, she tells Will Smith to kill Harley Quinn, and what happens is like he denies it first, but then she offers him something, and she's like he just immediately goes like, "Oh, she dead," and
Oh
goes
yeah.
in. It's like a laugh moment, and then the next frame, it's like this emotional moment where he can't like do it, like he can't do it, and he misses on purpose. It's like, oh, I mean, come on now,
Yeah.
come on.
That's the problem with a lot of, with a lot of screenplays when they want to do like this very dark and edginess and then at the same time have this sort of related. Because you can definitely see that they were trying to sort of get back into that reference of what the Suicide Squad, what made it great. It's a very
Right,
dark and sad concept, but that's the broadness. The
right.
coreness is of just these crazy maniacs who don't really care about life and don't really care about anything that happens at the end of the day but themselves, and that's the
Yeah.
funniness that comes from that. And I hope we do get to see that with the James Gunn sequel. I feel like we definitely will.
Oh,
But
we'll get to that. Don't
oh
jump
yeah,
ahead now.
I'm sorry,
Don't jump ahead now,
I'm
or you're
excited,
fired. You
I'm
got a bomb in your neck.
excited.
Don't worry.
Oh no.
Well, I gotta say that I think the best developed character in this was actually Will Smith's Deadshot. Like I
Hmm.
thought he was really good in the role, and there were actual talks of him getting his own film. I was like, oh, okay, I'm
I
kind of
will
down with
say, I
that.
was gonna say, as a person who loves guns,
Oh,
I saw I saw a video of him doing training videos with him working
relatable.
on. I saw him doing training videos with ARs and a bunch of Glocks and other Berettas and stuff, and I
How do you do?
really enjoy the work and stuff. It was very on par with Keanu Reeves's John Wick work, where he sort of was doing the I believe it's the two revolver, one rifle, no, two revolver, one repeater, one shotgun challenge, where it's you have
Mhm.
to fire as quick as you can. Yeah, I thought he did a pretty good job with handiwork with weapons and stuff.
Yeah, well, it's funny that you bring up this gun obsession you have. This is definitely a film
Mhm.
that is about villains who are a paramilitary troop. They're willing to kill whoever they need to get the mission done.
Mhm.
How do you think that works amongst the very heroism, the very iconic heroism that's supposed to be in this world? Like you have Superman in the world, you have Batman, you have Wonder Woman, you have Aquaman, the Justice League. How do you feel this falls into the mix of all that?
Well, I would say definitely from the years of 2016 to 2017, it didn't really work that well since we had, when watching both the Justice League, the original cut, and then Suicide Squad, I felt that there was no real discernibility of who was good nor evil since they sort of really messed up on the concept of Batman and a lot of the other characters from the Justice League, where I kind of felt like at this point there's no real big difference towards them except for Harley Quinn is just saying stuff about voices, and then the Flash is talking about brunch.
Right.
But now with a lot of the introduction to Shazam and to Aquaman and to Wonder Woman and and though 1984, which is really not that good, we at least get
And Birds
some
of Prey.
and Birds of Prey. Well, we don't talk about
We're gonna talk about it.
that.
It has to be talked about.
I know. With Birds of Prey, of course, and I mean, we definitely do see that disconnection now, where they were sort of at the beginning really struggling on how do we sort of have this concept of seriousness within the world, but at the same time, this light tone that Marvel kind of really perfected in the very beginning.
Yeah.
Um, and now we are definitely seeing that over now. It's sort of the roles have very much switched from Marvel as sort of being this very very serious tone and but lightheartedness to very, almost every time everyone's saying practical joke to now within the DC from being always serious, nothing really fitting well, even some of the lines not even working, to now having that sense of a very dark thing. I mean, look at Shazam with its very darkness about, family relationships and sort of not being accepted by, but there are
Mhm.
some really funny ass lines in there, and it's a really great movie.
It's a movie for kids. I mean,
Yeah.
pretty much. And you have
Very much.
this
Are you
world.
George Lucas? It's a movie for 14-year-olds.
Hey, no, I'm Freddie Prinze Jr. You're just not. You're just mad that
just
it's
don't
not
get
going
it.
with you.
Lucas made the universe. You guys can't say nothing. Even though I can't voice act for anything.
Oh, okay, all right. Don't get personal.
I know.
Let's talk about Will Smith.
Mass
So
Effect,
Will
Mass
Smith,
Effect.
I thought was the best part about this film, without a doubt. I mean, he basically owns this role. I hope we do see more of him because I thought he was actually good, and he could probably do really well with a great script.
I would definitely like to see him in the newest. The
Sorry?
sequel. I was gonna
Oh.
say I would definitely like to see him in the sequel.
Yeah, I mean, look at this, and I think the costume was really cool.
Oh yeah, I
honestly.
love that mask. I felt like it was such a shame that he didn't wear it more often.
Mhm.
But I mean, they definitely when you see Will Smith, you definitely want to see Will Smith. But I don't know. I felt like they used it very little. I wanted them to use it a little bit more. Real quick, can you get a photo
Hey,
of that
man,
mask? That mask was so cool.
actors need to. They want to show their face. Come on now.
They want to show their face, but that mask is so cool.
Doesn't matter.
I mean, look at Pedro. You know that worked.
Okay. It did work, but you're not Will Smith.
No,
Will
yeah.
Smith wants to show his face.
Wilson, yeah.
Yeah, that was the deal.
He was born and raised on the playground where he spent most of his
Okay,
life.
I will put you in the waiting room. Let's talk about the antagonist.
Mm.
Your girl.
Mm.
The Enchantress.
Yes, Miss Bed Bath and Beyond.
All right. So, honestly, I've never watched this film again. So, and I remember that she was an
I've watched this 2 more times.
She was an archaeologist who didn't know how to be an archaeologist because she broke the artifact almost immediately. She got infected with the spirit of the Enchantress, I believe, and she was possessed. If that's correct, she had 2 identities within one body. The Enchantress took her over. She had a relationship with Rick Flag, which was being tampered with because of this identity, and she became the main villain, causing big, giant mud creatures, minions for the Suicide Squad to fight.
Gray monsters, my favorite antagonist of all cinema.
And then she had a brother who was kind of like heavy for the film.
Oh yes, the big red enemy. Totally new color scheme.
And she wanted to take over the world, right?
Yes.
Was that? I mean, that's
the concept was the concept was enemy wants to take over the world. Give us money. Watch it now.
So Brian, what did you think when you saw Enchantress in this film? How'd you feel?
Well, I hate this design. I mean, it's a beautiful design, whoever made it, but practically within the film, it really made me not want to watch the film. It was really weird. I really prefer the old design. I don't know if you want to bring it up. The old design is just really badass and really cool, especially that scene where Amanda Waller brings her among the Pentagon officers, and she's like, well, she can get you any information in that sort of backwards hand thing. That is like one of the most coolest scenes of all time. Look at that design. I mean, she looks like a hippie from like the 1970s. I mean,
it don't look too much different. She just looks more messy than what we had before.
she looks like she hasn't taken a shower in like 3 days.
Right.
But
my favorite, one of the best scenes in cinema.
One of the best scenes of cinema. No, but I don't know. Her as an antagonist, it's even then, as sort of just like this broad thing of like a Power Rangers thing of, oh, big villain wants to destroy the world.
Right.
There was really no reason to why, besides from her being sort of like a captive,
just evil.
And that's really it. And that's even how they kind of show it off in the movie, is that she escapes her captivity, and that's when she wants to destroy the world. So without her wanting to escape her captivity, it would have just, if you really think about it, realistically, she would have just been like, oh, right with this. And she'd be like, all right, well, I guess I'm forever a bomb. Okay.
Well, I really do wish that it was better. It did remind me a lot of Rita Repulsa from the Power Rangers, like you brought up.
You don't ruin her. You don't ruin her? Yeah, no, she's amazing. Except for in the newest Power Rangers.
I mean, all right, man. Okay.
Sorry, as a Power Rangers stan, I can't.
You're going to tell me there aren't some similarities between those two?
Oh, no, there is definitely some
similarities. Come on now.
But there is a big difference.
I don't know. I don't know if there's as much a difference as you or Daniel would admit.
We're
Silly
fine.
boy.
Silly boy, I swear.
So okay, so I feel like the idea of having the antagonist being this giant magic-based villain.
Mhm.
It, do you? I mean, I don't think it's such a great uh, foil for the Suicide Squad because they're like you have a guy throwing boomerangs, you have a girl with a baseball bat, you have a guy with guns against this, and the fight scenes result to these fights where they're fighting
Mhm.
all these just creatures, these mud creatures. There's for me, there's no feeling in it. You could
Yeah.
make an argument for like you can make an argument in that in the first Avengers movie they're fighting a bunch of faceless aliens. Why you care about that? Well, I mean it's a different context. I like
Yeah.
those
And we have a
characters
much more
better.
better antagonist. You know?
Better antagonist, and you get
Better
exactly where
motives
he's
to
coming
think about
from.
it too. It's mostly not he wants to control Earth. It's mostly just him causing. It's mostly him
He's
just
not
making
dancing throughout the
a
film.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I would have said that I agree with your point about the Suicide Squad facing off a magic enemy. It would have made more sense for the screenplay to go against an alien, if anything, or
Sure.
maybe a thought of like maybe there's an alien invasion coming up, and they feel like maybe that could have led to a second uprising of a newer Superman. You know,
Something like that, or something at least with more character.
yeah, something at
Yeah.
least in concept to why they are making a Suicide Squad against someone to a future Superman. Because a magic user is not really Superman. That's more or less like Wonder Woman or like anyone else who
Shazam.
deals with Shazam. Exactly. And that would have made a much more concept if they were like, oh, we want to make sure we have someone who can go up against these new Egyptian people and,
These new Egyptian people.
These new Egyptian people.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, conceptually, it would have made more sense if they had better the screenplay to match up to the threat level of Superman. Because a magic user doesn't really make any sense, and the motive is just really boring.
Well, the thing is, if it was like a Superman level threat, they'd be destroyed.
They would be extremely
be
destroyed,
wrecked.
Yeah.
You know, and so
I was gonna say, don't they kind of just throw her with the power of love?
Yeah, man. I mean, they really got to just
friendship is magical.
With characters like these.
With
characters like these, you really the setting is such an important aspect of what makes them work or not. You know, you can put them in a war zone. You can put them in, like for instance, their use in Batman or Assault on Arkham. They're trying to break into Arkham Asylum to break out the Riddler, or they're trying to stop the Riddler. I don't remember exactly, but they're going in there for someone. Right. I don't think there are superpowered beings, right? Obviously, there are superpowered beings in that. But I just don't think it ends up in this mess by the end. No. You know, it becomes a very personal fight by the end of that film where you have Deadshot versus Joker. Harley Quinn's up in the mix. Batman's trying to like catch up to all them. You know, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, and it's and we even, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I did feel that connection when I did see my boy King Shark. What was it again, King Shark or
in what?
In the Arkham series.
Oh, that was King Shark. Yeah, that was
King Shark. Yeah, I cried when my boy King Shark died. That was
See, that's what I'm saying. Like those characters had personality.
He's a straight up just murderous shark, but I got more connection from that versus Killer Croc who loves BET.
Oh my god. That's another thing, man. How did you feel? I want to ask you how you felt about a lot of these characters kind of relying on stereotypes. I mean, like El Diablo is like this gangbanger. Like,
El Diablo is my he's straight up just my Uncle Montana.
Yeah, I know. He lives down the street. I mean,
I meet him up in the front of my house.
I see him in front of Winchell's. I mean, Jesus.
He goes by the Big Saver. He sells what is it? He sells Takis and stuff.
Yeah, sells Takis. So, like you have El Diablo, you have Killer Croc. Who's like, I got PT. I'm beautiful. I got PET. You know, Katana. You like I feel like they replace character for stereotypes and jokes and stuff like that. And it's unfortunate. But however, I will give them credit. You do have this cool little moment, one of the few cool moments in the film where it's them in a bar. This bar scene where they're
the bar
each
scene.
Other. I thought that was a cool, really well directed scene.
No, I felt at the moment watching, I was like, "What are you guys doing? You guys are literally just in a battlefield." realistically, you know, I kind of figure out like how real paramilitaries would sort of go in that situation. You know, we as citizens like to think like war is a very stagnant sort of just like an onslaught of
Very
barrages, but
dramatic
like
type
yeah,
deal.
very dramatic. But real war is very much you don't even get to see people by a whole year in service and stuff. And this is very I felt at that moment rewatching again. It's a very peaceful calm before the storm moment before we have to go back into the really bad screenplay and the really bad character development because I felt like at
we
that
gotta
moment
band together. Us treacherous criminals have to band together for the power of love.
For the power of love. But no, yeah, I definitely got that sense of connectiveness that we were missing from the we're the bad guys. No, I definitely got that sense of connectedness that they were trying to show within the film within the very beginning, but we were unable to get that at the
Yeah, and that actually had one of my favorite, like one of the few laughs I had in the film. That was actually laughing with the film, where it was, they get there, Rick Flag deactivates the bombs, because like fuck it, man, like it's just like he's done.
Yeah.
He gives up, and then Captain Boomerang just runs out. Like I thought that was hysterical. But then he shows back up later.
But yeah, he shows back up.
He just comes back.
He's like, well, I'm in it for the long haul.
I'm in it for the long haul.
Well, mate, I gotta get paid somehow.
Gotta get. I didn't have enough rupees.
I didn't have enough prawns on my
Jesus Christ,
on my barbecue, I guess.
But Brian, we did bring up you boy. You know who I'm talking about?
I believe so.
This man.
Oh yeah,
Mr. Cameo himself.
Mr. Cameo himself.
So
I like his bat grill.
His bat grill. You mean his
bat grill?
His brand. His cow brand.
Yes.
Imagine Batman going up to cows with that. Moo.
Moo. Martha.
Okay. So
why'd you say her name?
We had a couple of appearances by Batman. I actually do think the film is set in Gotham City, I believe. Right?
Yes.
So it's kind of bizarre that he wouldn't be in more of it. But okay, so you can only get Ben Affleck for a couple days.
Oh, yeah.
So Ben Affleck shows up as Batman in the film for a couple of scenes. A scene between him and Deathshot where they fight. He actually acts like Batman, and he says, "I don't want to do this in front of your daughter." And I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere.
More Batman than Batman versus Superman.
It's like he doesn't want to kill. I mean, before the Batman, he would have killed him.
No, yeah, before he was going to be throwing people against the wall. With
straight up throwing boxes at people. Like that's. But okay, this is a little bit of Batman right here. I don't want to do this.
This is some good Batman right here.
Okay, all right. We also have him show up in a scene between him, Joker, and Harley Quinn. We do not see him interact with the Joker.
No,
physically. We do see him punch Harley Quinn.
Interact physically with Harley Quinn.
Yeah, just punches her in the face.
I bet you he punched her with that Batman glove right there with that
brand.
With the brand, yeah.
Well, we all know that's what you would have liked to see, Brian. But aside from that abuse,
yeah.
What did you think of Batman's involvement in the film? Did you want to see him more? Did you want to see him less? What are you thinking?
Well, after seeing the Batman versus Superman, I definitely did not want to see Ben Affleck's Batman.
Just in general.
Just in general. I thought it was interesting with the cameo because Amanda Waller's like, I did give him a call, and it is very we do have to see at least some references. We don't maybe not cameo, but at least some references to know that we are all in the same universe.
They're in Gotham.
Yeah. I mean, when Marvel was doing it, it was very tasteful at some points where it was sort of like, oh, this is hinting at a future thing, and then to the point where everyone's like, I don't care about the movie, just give me the camo, But definitely this, I thought was now looking over, I thought it was pretty great, especially with the whole scene within Gotham. Now, maybe looking a little bit more into it, yeah, I probably would have liked a little bit more of him in there because, I mean, it's such a weird thing to be like, oh yeah, the superheroes are out there doing more important stuff. What is more important than this ginormous
laser
monsters
show
killing everyone, and also, might I add, ruining a bridal show. Remember? Don't forget that.
Exactly.
Ruining a bride show. Honestly, they should have just called Batman right then and there.
Blowing up the Denny's.
Blowing up the Denny's.
I mean, the Dunkin' Donuts is on fire. Where's Batman?
There's mud people everywhere. Someone.
Will Smith is in the streets shooting people. Like, come on, where is Batman?
Slipknot is hanging from a roof, dead.
Okay, but that, you know, he had that going.
No.
Let me escape.
Let me escape. You.
Yeah. No,
But
I don't.
Yeah. I feel like within the universe, you definitely, once you're halfway through the film, the first half, you feel like, oh, this is interesting, and then the second half, logic goes out of the window. Everything that you would think is possible is just ignored. Like, what is Wonder Woman doing at this point besides from sexually assaulting another man?
Brian, come on.
What is the Flash doing besides from getting brunch? What is Cyborg doing but thinking about what he
Cyborg's
doesn't have
being
any
creative.
hands?
Cyborg's
What is
fighting.
Aquaman doing besides from dealing with Amber Heard?
Come on. Not trying to get political.
Oh, of course.
Maybe a
No,
little bit.
I don't understand. It just doesn't make any sense. There's such a huge threat, and then you're like, let's send in the untrained murderous killer.
Well, at least Batman. You
Yeah.
can make that argument about Batman. This is his city.
True.
I do agree that I feel like logically Batman in this story would be more involved. Practically, it's another matter entirely. You can only get, look, they already stacked up their whole cast of different characters that do nothing. They couldn't afford a character that would actually be there logically and do something. Unfortunately, I'm sure Ben Affleck was kind of like busy or something. He was dealing with what was going to be happening with Justice
I'm
League.
doing Vice. I need to bulk up.
What? Vice?
I'm sorry. No,
That's Christian Bale.
Yeah, that's Christian Bale. I always get them mixed up sometimes.
Yeah, but with what little Batman we did see, I did think he was more Batman than we had gotten.
Definitely.
You know, in the film a couple months beforehand.
I thought
he was really
kind of really upsetting me though. The little ripple lines.
Oh.
It
Why?
looks
Wait,
weird.
well, let's
I don't know. The lines remind me of like a shark, like designs of like their scales and stuff like that. I know that everyone complains about like the big bat logo. I mean, it's an interesting logo.
what it is. I mean, it's very Frank Miller inspired.
True. Yeah.
Right.
I definitely like that cowl. I definitely like the short. I prefer the shorter
shorter ears
compared to because I think like the big ears just look like this. You know, it's like.
Well, that's what they look like on you, Brian.
No, it's like.
By the way, this is actually a photo of me on my way to Brian's house every night.
Yes. Every night to watch The Mandalorian.
That was me. Just not tonight, Julius. Not tonight.
You better not talk about Grogu.
Better not talk about Gungans.
Gungans, yeah.
So we had Batman in it. Now, let me ask you a question. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's be fair. Let's be fair. What works in the movie? What do you think works in the movie for you? Is there anything? Is it a lot of it? Is it a little bit of it? What works for you?
Well, besides from the concept, which I feel like, you know, that's a very boring thing to say. The concept works. I feel like the concept kind of slightly works. I also feel that there was moments within the screenplay where they were trying to get with some emotional connection of Deadshot being in a much more larger role, because it felt like they wrote Deadshot to be more interesting. You know, I was going to say and admit that to you. I do love Deadshot. He's really great. He's one of my easily favorite characters within the overall of the film.
Yeah,
but it definitely felt like the focus definitely towards editing and towards like availability of just screen time. They definitely went more on the enchantress love story with Flag more than anything else towards the second half of the film. And even we do see that within the first half of the film with them going to that hotel. And I understand what they're trying to convey there with the whole, she's trying to have like that sort of sense of rebellious natures against Amanda Waller. It just felt weird because they do it the next day, and then it kind of felt like, why would you do that? Man. And then Jared Leto's Joker.
Okay, well, hold on. We're not there yet. I promise you, We will discuss that.
But
We will discuss
I
that.
know, but I just say what works. Am I
Oh,
allowed
okay.
to?
Well,
I'm not going to spoil
I'll allow
anything
it. I'll
major.
allow
All
it.
right,
I'll
cool.
allow
I will say,
it.
though I do not prefer the design over most Jokers, I feel
Okay.
like within this universe of what they were trying to go with, it does kind of work a little bit well, you know, in the sense of this very weird anarchist sort of thing, sort of rebellious nature. But that's just, you know, that's just the Joker within every depiction of this very anarchist behavior. Uh, Julius is freaking out majorly.
We'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that.
We'll talk. We'll have a whole section
No,
about
yeah, of course. And then
that.
I guess last thing that I would have to say, which worked kind of well,
Mm-hmm.
man, it's just so hard. I mean, I enjoy this film. Like if I put on the back out watch it, you know, it's not the most worst film that some people would say, but it's definitely not a good film. All right, fine. Last thing that I would really enjoy was that very steadiness of that pace of the very beginning. There was this very certain comic books ish style with sort of like the intros. I know that everyone makes
Christ.
memes and jokes about the intros, about like the
Jesus.
character intros, but I thought it was kind of interesting and very unique and cool, you know.
Well,
But yeah, here's the thing: those little things were cool, and to see Deadshot with his daughter was cool, but just to see the other characters was just really weird. Like with Killer Croc's intro, I mean, it's cool with him killing people, but we don't really learn anything about how he got in there. And then with the same thing with Harley Quinn, it's sort of like that weird dance scene with Jared Leto. It's like, you like her? You like what you see?
you don't want no beef.
You don't want no beef here, fam.
Yeah. Um. Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
Brian. Thank you.
Oh,
But
yeah.
so I'll be very quick about this. What works in the film? I think the main thing that works is Will Smith is Deadshot. I think he's the most compelling character. I've said it already, but I think he's the most compelling character. He's someone who I get where he's coming from completely, and I think
Mhm.
that seeing those moments, those very few moments throughout the film, there's a spark of a unique character, someone that we're not used to within the comic book genre, really, of film. You know, within the MCU or within this, he's a reluctant hero, reluctant anti-hero more so.
Mhm.
And I thought that Will Smith played him really well, and there's a great potential
Mhm.
to see him back. I hope we
Yeah.
see him back because
Yeah,
I
I
thought he was
definitely
one of
saw
the
that
strongest parts.
large connection towards like the Arkham series, and very much like, oh yeah, Will Smith did a pretty great job, you know, as especially with this coming out and stuff.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about what actually doesn't work.
Yes.
So I'll just tell you right now.
Let me bring
I
my
think the
list.
film.
Here,
I mean,
let me bring out my notes. Page 1 of 200.
okay, so you brought up the opening as
Yeah.
working for you.
Yeah.
I gotta. I just don't agree. I think that the opening is really just choppily edited.
Mhm.
It's songs after songs after
Yeah.
songs.
The songs are kind of annoying.
I mean, this was honestly an indicator of what happens when you have so many characters you don't know what to do. It's you just okay, and this one, and this one, and this one, and this one.
This is when
Where
you decide to
you need
just
to
go fully indie film.
well, this is where you need to apply them correctly, where they are introduced throughout the story in ways that make sense to push the story forward rather than just halt it. Because I feel like, and apparently there are like 3 different cuts of the film, that edited by 3 different people, including the person who edited the trailers. So I feel like that's a reason as to why it felt like uh never ending
That's
trailers
right,
at the
yeah.
beginning. Like the only time that works is at the beginning of Tropic Thunder, or it's literally trailers after trailer after trailer, and it's part of the joke. With this, I really it was kind of discombobulating at first. I'm like, oh, like dude, I'm going from like Rick James to Eminem to Slipknot to 5 Inch Nails. Like,
Yeah.
my goodness, this is unfortunately not
Yeah.
working.
It was the Bohemian Rhapsody of editing.
It was like the Frankenstein's monster of you know what I mean? Like, but the thing is, the bolts were put on the
Yeah,
chest, the
on the
arm was
chest,
up
yeah.
on the head. Like it was unfortunate because I was kind of like, oh no, this is not gonna be. I felt like once we slowed down
Mhm.
and we got to that scene in that bar, I was like, okay, here's something. here's something, I'm down with it now. But then it just turned into the standard comic book action ending that people
Yeah.
are kind of tired of seeing,
Hmm.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
So what about you? Where are your notes?
So I'm not gonna cuss on this part because I don't like cussing, but I will say,
Ah.
screw those people for killing El Diablo. My God, really hated that so
Or
much.
did they?
Or did they? I think they did. I
He's
think the
dead.
guy blew up. I believe
He
so.
blew up.
I don't know. I was gonna say towards the first beginning, it was very obnoxious to like, oh, this is just a really big stereotype. But then when we got to that bar scene, it was really cool. You know, we got to see a little bit more about who he was as a character, and you know, the
Yeah.
sort of thing about like, oh, I killed my wife and my children, I burned them alive, and now I have to deal with that whole sort of thing for my
Yeah.
life and stuff. And then, you know, some would see that as a redemption arc of him dying, as a sense of he is now
For my
finally
family.
for my oh yeah,
These are my bitches.
this is my family. And they're like, sorry, we don't really know you that well.
We don't even like you, bro.
All we know you is a Mexican guy. You're a stereotype of us. Really weird that they made Croc like BET.
Right.
I don't know why that was really necessary. I
What
mean,
was
he's a
it?
man-eating crocodile monster.
Well,
I just don't.
about that opening
I
is
don't see
that
the connection.
there's plenty of compelling stuff in there, especially with someone like El Diablo or Deadshot or even Harley Quinn partly. Um, but it feels like it belongs in different films.
Yeah,
You know, films that would lead up to this, right?
exactly. Or
These
like even
characters
like
are that
short,
compelling.
short stories, like a TV show. You know, I would definitely watch
Yeah.
a TV show.
Or so, yeah. I mean, a series would be really cool with this. It actually, this was kind of like the worst case scenario that I kind of have for the Snyder Cut. We will talk about that
Oh
later. We will
yeah,
discuss that later. But this is kind of what I feel. I hope that the editors and Zack Snyder looked at this and said, okay, let's try to fix
let's
our
do the
film up.
opposite of that.
Let's try to, like, we have a lot of characters here. Let's hope they have stuff to do. Reasons for being there, you know? Um, yeah. So that's unfortunate, but I really was excited for the film coming out. I wanted it to be. There's a trailer reaction on the channel from years back when that trailer, one of the trailers came out, and I'm there with Angel and Daniel, and we're watching it, and we're getting excited. We're happy that it's happening, and it's like, yes, let's do it. Let's finally get this film. Let's actually go. Man, but then after the film, I come out and a friend of mine calls me after he gets out of his screening and says, "Oh yeah, it was great." Just hung up right then and there before I could respond. You son of a bitch, you bastard.
It's a masterpiece.
Yeah, he was like, yeah. So it just got out, and it was great.
I was gonna say it's kind of really
Got
scary to
pissed.
think by that time, and then up to 2017, that was the greatest DCEU movie,
What was?
the Suicide Squad. If you think about it,
No, I don't. I don't even.
compared to Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman and
I'll
Justice
say.
League,
I will
Julius,
say that. Well,
you wanna
Justice
be
League
real
didn't
over
come out
here?
at the time. Justice League didn't come out at the time.
No, I'm
But
saying
I would
like,
say Man of
towards
Steel is
2000.
better. I would say Man of Steel is better, even though I'm not a big
Right.
fan. Man of
Mhm.
Steel is, I think, a better film.
All right.
But we're talking about movies that. Okay, look, we're gonna get to the movies we like.
We'll
Okay.
get to the other stuff. Yeah. I was gonna say one other thing I had a huge problem with was
Okay.
I mean, and I don't know if this was a real complaint from you. I just felt like it was weird to sort of like really over sexualize Margot Robbie and stuff
Mm,
in some things.
right.
I mean, it's Margot Robbie, and I know that she was just in Wolf of Wall Street, and everyone thinks
Right.
that she's a very beautiful woman and stuff like that. I just felt like it was weird, kind of really unnecessary with some scenes and stuff like that,
Mhm.
which don't really make any sense with the undressing scene.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, she's more or less of a weird, quirky sort of, I'm not gonna use that term. More or less of a weird sort of crazed maniac, and not this weird, dumb bimbo in some scenes. I
Well,
think
she's
that
not
she.
dumb. I mean, that's the thing
Yeah.
about the character that I think that people who write the character kind of miss sometimes is that she
Mhm.
is not a dumb character.
No, yeah, she's
She is
definitely
a
not.
she is a victim.
Yeah.
She is a victim of what the Joker did to her. And oh my God. And that's another thing we have to talk about, which I actually
Yeah.
completely forgot about in my notes,
Yeah.
was the relationship between her and the Joker in
And
the
the Joker,
film.
yeah. Real
Uh,
quick, before you say
my
anything,
goodness.
that
Okay.
acid pit scene. I really like the acid pit scene.
Okay. So before anything,
Mhm.
before we even go there, Brian,
Before
okay,
everything, of
let me pull
course.
up a picture of two
These freaks.
these two. I was about to invite someone. These clowns.
These clowns. You
Okay,
invite
so
Joaquin Phoenix.
Joker and Harley Quinn.
Mhm.
This is most definitely one of the most touchy, depressing, and realistic relationships and
Yes, this
depictions of
is
abuse
every
in
high school
comics.
relationship.
Okay, stop. I'm gonna mute you. I swear to God, just stop. Look, listen. Well, yeah, you're muted. Okay, so so with the Joker and Harley Quinn,
Mhm.
right? You have to be very careful how you approach this. Harley Quinn was introduced in Batman the Animated Series as, at first, this kind of like joke of a character, like the henchman of the Joker, someone who was definitely the butt of a lot of jokes within the show at first. But then you get an episode called Mad Love, where it depicts how they met, their relationship, how she was seduced by the dark side, if you will, and how she just fell into this trance by this master manipulator who is ultimately abusive. Now, I have not seen this extended cut that exists of where it shows more scenes of their relationship and everything. However, what I saw, what I paid for in the theater that night, depicted a relationship of this more Bonnie and Clyde situation, where
Mhm.
it's like their Joker cares
Yeah.
about Harley. He's obsessed over Harley. Harley is like working her way to get back to him. It's true maddening love
Mhm.
as it's depicted in the film.
Mhm.
I had a big problem with that.
Yeah.
I had a
God save
big
anyone
problem.
who messed with her king.
Exactly. Like this
Damn it,
was
Amanda Waller.
this is absolutely, I think, maybe the most worrying part of the
Yeah.
film, because a lot of young girls look up to characters like Harley Quinn. I
Mhm.
remember when that movie was coming out, posts on Facebook when I was on Facebook, people's
Mhm.
girls I knew
When I was on
posting,
Facebook.
"I'm looking for my Joker."
My
And I'm like,
I'm like, I don't think you
I
understand.
don't think you get it, dude. This is not something to look up to. And I
The
actually,
incel
I
guy
hold the
from
film in
that.
contempt that it didn't depict
Yeah.
this relationship properly, especially
Yeah.
in the very end. Especially in the
Mhm.
very end.
Oh yeah.
Brian, how did you feel about the relation? How do you feel about the relationship in general and how it was depicted in this film?
Really, yeah. I don't really like it that much in the film. I think they did a much more better job within the animated Harley Quinn TV series.
Yeah. Here, let me pull up a
Or
picture while you
they
keep
at least
talking.
handle
Go
a
ahead.
no, yeah, of course. At least they handle it a little bit more better because there is some times in that show that I'm just not a big fan. But I would definitely say
In Batman the Anime
towards
Series?
yeah, in the Harley Quinn animated series,
Oh, no,
the
no.
newest one.
Oh, okay. Well, in Batman the Animated Series, she was introduced. That's
No,
where
no,
I
no.
loved her.
Definitely in the Batman the anime series, they definitely yeah, they
Oh, you're
perfected it.
talking
It
about
was
the
really
new
great.
Harley Quinn.
The newest Harley Quinn, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what do you think of the relationship in general?
I think the relationship in general is this very this almost there's a bunch of jokes out there that are sort of like Joker and Batman are more in a loving relationship than Joker
Her
and
and Harley
Harley
Quinn,
Quinn, and I
yeah.
feel like it's this very large obsession of Joker sort of reaching his goals, but he's able to use mastermind anyone who has been in his life, and I feel like the reason why he has Harley Quinn so connected with him is because
Hmm.
she's the most closest person to him,
And she's a
and he's
sucker.
able to sort of exactly he's able to manipulate that love that she has for him into allowing him to do whatever he sort of wants at the end of the day. And I think that they
Yeah.
really failed that sort of, I mean, they were kind of slightly getting the whole Harley Quinn loved Joker more in some scenes, but
More than what Joker did, yeah.
yeah, more, but at the end of the day, with that ending scene, and then of course with Harley Quinn jumping out of
Come
the
on,
plane,
baby.
no,
Where
no,
is she? Like, oh
Where's
my
she?
god. So I mean, look at this image right
Yeah.
here, right? She's in the middle of the
Mhm.
real relationship between
Mhm.
Joker and Batman. You know, this is absolutely, I think a better depiction of this, right? Of Joker,
Mhm.
at least Joker's focus on who
Mhm.
he really loves. A better depiction of that is in the Lego Batman
Mhm.
movie. Okay? That
True.
that depicts it so much better. And Harley Quinn isn't really involved in it too much
No, yeah.
in that, but that just shows
But it's
the way he
symbolic
treats
by
her
itself
in
too, you
even
know. Harley
more.
Quinn's barely even in that movie because it's so symbolic of Batman truly loving Joker more
and
than
and vice versa.
and vice versa.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This story right here that I'm showing all of you is a tragedy. And unfortunately, the movie, the Suicide Squad film, misses the mark on that
Mhm.
completely.
They play it more as a hot topic joke.
I mean, my good,
Yeah.
my my God.
It's very much the hot topic of the DC EU.
Yeah. Did you ever talk to anyone about the? Have you talked to anyone else about the relationship between Joker and
Joker and
Harley
Harley.
Quinn?
Yes, one of my friends, Jacob, which I think you've met him once for my
Okay.
birthday. We very much love Batman and stuff like that. And we do talk about Joker and a lot about that things. Uh, I think I brought it up to him, the relationship with Joker and Harley, like, towards senior year. So this was like a good 2 to 3 more years after the movie came out, and we were just making fun of like how bad the movie was, but how great potential there was. And I think we did glance over like, oh yeah, if you really think about it, Harley is just sort of being like, it's really much an abusive relationship, but they
Yeah.
really just like glanced over that, and they were just like they're in love. And we were messing around because by that year, you know, every girl was sort of dressing up as Harley Quinn.
Right.
And then I
That's
made fun of
worrying,
it because
man.
I remember his girlfriend dressed up as Harley Quinn. She made her boyfriend like Joker and Harley Quinn. And we and him both laughed and was like, well, at least you're not an abuser.
Thank God. Um,
I know, thank God, man.
this
But
is
no, it
some.
just, yeah, I understand where you get from. It's sort of like that way of how, like, you know, the imagery of how society wants to make sure that children are able to be acceptable to various things out there, but at the same time trying to sort of keep that sense of childhood behaviors within their mind. Sort of like you don't want to show a child like red asphalt, you know. You know, what I'm trying to get at the end of the day is you want to make sure that you want to have a real depiction of what is going on in reality instead of this very fluffy sort of everything is fine
Right.
reality point of view to show
Right.
someone. Because if you just show them that, then by a really important age of their time, by a really important time of their age, they will definitely view things much more weirder than you would imagine. You know, imagine
Well,
if
with a
someone's
filter,
yeah
definitely. I
with
mean,
a
and that's
filter.
what
You
this
know,
movie does, I think,
definitely.
especially they just they keep on romanticizing the
Yeah.
relationship that is abusive inherently, where she
Mhm.
like there are moments where it's like that moment you talked about with the
Mhm.
acid and everything.
He goes
Would you
back
die
down
for
for
me?
her.
It's
Yeah.
like what I mean, I know that that is bad. You
Mhm.
know that that is bad,
Yeah.
but there are going to be some
Mhm.
people who read into that at a vulnerable and formative time in their life, like these
Mhm.
girls, these guys, and they may very
Exactly,
well misread
especially at
it.
such an ages too, where they think that could be. I mean, and no, realistically, I mean, I'm not gonna say realistically, but for a broad term, people will be like, "Are you really sure that people are gonna really take advice relationships from a cartoon or
I've
anime
seen it.
movie?"
I've
Yes,
seen it.
yes,
Okay, don't
yes.
even. I've seen
These
it.
movies honestly are so amazing and they're very impactful. I mean, look at the Clone Wars; it's so depressing and it's just straight
Okay,
up
well, we're not talking
CGI.
about Star Wars right now. Don't
But we
even try.
could. But we could.
Don't try it.
Don't try it. You underestimate my metachlorian account.
Okay, so let's move on to the future. We've talked quite a
Mm,
bit about
the
Jesus Christ,
past.
Suicide Squad. This is what
We
you do
talked
to me.
about Star Wars.
So, we've talked quite a bit, but we're going to talk about the future. So, the future of Suicide Squad. We're
Mhm.
getting a film this year after the Snyder Cut
Oh
comes
yeah.
out, directed by Mr. James Gunn himself. And look at
Ah
this.
yes.
So,
Woo!
this is
There's
a
my boy.
picture
There
not
he is.
not even showing everyone in the cast. This is
Oh
definitely
yeah,
more
not even everyone.
people, more strange characters, more crazy things. And this, by all accounts, should be a train wreck. I'm hoping it's not. I don't think it will be.
Yeah.
Based on the movies that James Gunn has written and directed in the past, like
Mhm.
Super, Slither, Guardians of the Galaxies Volumes 1 and 2,
Mhm.
I'm very much looking forward to this.
Oh,
You,
you skipped one.
what did I skip?
I was talking about Brightburn,
Oh well, he
but
executive produced that. That don't
no,
count.
yeah.
Come on,
All right, all right.
stop it.
Ah, right.
So
I mean, it's still pretty good.
yeah, but it's not his movie, silly
No, yeah,
bastard. So
yeah.
anyway, so you can't deny when watching the first Suicide Squad, it felt very reactionary to
Mhm.
something like Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, which is a team of misfits that are a bit unhinged, they can get dark, they can get very adult with the humor, and they're goofy, right? So they decided to mimic that in their own way with the first Suicide Squad. But
Oh
now
yeah.
we're getting the guy who influenced their cinematic decision to make the sequel, or not even really a sequel because it's called The Suicide. It's not Suicide Squad 2, it's The Suicide Squad. Brian, what do you think about this?
Well, obviously James Gunn is making a hard-on move, saying, "Yo, this is the Suicide
This is
Squad." No,
the
I'm really excited about this movie. I think it looks really great, and even if it does kind of mess up in a sort of disaster way, I feel like it's not. And I also have
hoping
a
it's not. Yeah, me
big
too.
theory that in the very first half of these characters are going to get killed.
Oh, he said no one. James Gunn got carte blanche to kill anyone he wanted. Anyone, anyone in this movie. None of these people are safe.
None of these people. No, yeah. I definitely believe that half of these people are going to be murdered in the first, like, just the first 5 minutes. Very similar to X Force within Deadpool 2 with
Oh no! Don't say
all the
that.
people.
Don't say that.
I'm excited to see James Gunn's brothers
As Weasel.
as the Weasel. Yeah. I'm excited to see John Cena's character. I feel like they're really going to focus a lot on John Cena's
Peacemaker.
character. Yeah, Peacemaker, and then Idris Elba, and then I
You,
I I want to see a little bit more on King Shark. I don't know if they will use him a whole lot because he is very fully CGI, which I like practical stuff, but man, he looks so good. I love it. You
well, they
know,
got an insane cast here. I mean,
oh yeah,
they
definitely.
have Idris Elba, Margot Robbie, John
That's
Cena, Nathan
Flula Bor.
Fillion, Flula Borg, Peter Capaldi, Sean Gunn, Pete Davidson, Jai Courtney, Michael Rooker, James Gunn staple. Like they have an insane cast, and
Oh yeah.
this may be one of the best looking, just
Oh no, yeah, definitely.
aesthetically best looking films of the year
Oh yeah.
already. I mean, that see what Flula Borg is wearing looks. It seems just some like Bible Man, or
Bible Man,
or
yeah.
the character Fillion plays in Super, the Jesus type
Hmm.
character. Like it looks
Hmm.
just like, oh my god, I'm so excited for that.
No,
I'm
yeah,
ready.
me too,
I'm
man.
ready.
Oh yeah, I'm
Polka Dot
super
Man.
right. I'm pumped. Pokemon Man, yeah.
Where do you think this may hopefully I say
Mhm.
succeed where the last film didn't?
I feel that the thing that they're going to exceed most on is relationships. And I
Mhm.
feel, and you may be thinking like, oh, there's a lot more people than in the last one.
Yeah.
Let's just be real. They're just automatically going to succeed in everything. Because I mean, the bar is kind of very low.
And James Gunn's a pretty damn awesome
And
writer when it
I
comes to
know
that.
James Gunn is really amazing. But like I said, I feel like they're going to, with the whole cast, I feel like they're definitely going to kill off half of the entire cast in the
Oh
very
my
first
god.
5 minutes or even
Shit,
10 minutes, and then
95%. How about that?
no, yeah, 95. Yeah, it's just gonna be John Cena, and
It's just gonna because no one saw him.
no one saw him. Yeah,
No one could find him, so
no
they
one
could
saw
kill
Peacemaker. But
him.
no, I definitely think they're going to cut off immediately half of the cast in the very few couple minutes, and then the rest is going to be devoted towards the relationship of how these characters sort of act. We're gonna see in very situational things where each it's very similar to a video game. You sort of spec your skills into one thing that, oh, this will help me in this area.
Right.
If I want double jump, I'll put double jump so I can jump on trees. So I feel like there'll be definitely situations where there's sort of like, oh, polka dot man could do this, or Peacemaker can do this in this one area, and then they'll be killed off in that one area or in
Just
the
right
next.
there.
It'll be If anything, this reminds me of Cube, and I don't know if you know about the movie Cube, Julius.
No, I don't think
Uh,
so.
oh well, Cube, for those who don't know, it is a cubic. It is a movie about people in a prison in a large cube, and each cube has a different room and a different set of challenges. And so the people go into these different rooms, and sometimes they die, sometimes they don't. And so sometimes they learn that, oh, if I put a shoe within this room, then it will blow up and I don't die. Or if I put a shoe in this room, then I'll be saved, and then I could go into the next room and save this shoe. You know, it's a very sort of, each room will be a testament to who abilities will get them to live the longest.
Oh,
You
I
know,
see. It's that escape room film.
exactly, yeah.
That's right. Well, I'm hoping we get that type of panic within this film because this is obviously going to be a movie where a lot of people die. From what I understand, the main antagonist or the opposing force is Starro, uh, who's the giant cosmic
Ooh.
starfish who mind controls people, which I am
Yeah.
so down for. That sounds freaking amazing.
I was gonna say, thinking
I
of
need
Star, I'm
that.
thinking of Robot Chicken.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. Can it be
Can
that
it
this
be?
giant starfish's heart was touched? Oh my goodness, outrageous. So I'm very
What is it?
excited for
It's
that.
Batman flying through a Green Lantern boat through Star's eye. Goodbye, Moon Man.
Okay, the
All
next
right.
we're actually going to talk now about how this
Oh,
does
really?
tie into the Snyder Cut. This
Mhm.
is the journey to the
Mm.
Snyder Cut, Brian. So we have to discuss how this will interact, whether it
The
be
connection.
thematically or with characters. Now
Mhm.
there's one character
Mm.
from the Suicide Squad that is
Ooh.
appearing within this film,
Ooh.
and it's your boy,
Ooh.
Society.
Society. Oh man, look at
Jared
that.
Leto is coming
Yes.
back to play
Yes.
the Joker within the Snyder Cut in the night, or not the Nightfall, the Nightmare
Mhm.
portions of the film.
Yes.
How do you feel about this? He's obviously looking much different. He's acting very
Yeah.
different already.
Very. Yes.
How do you feel about seeing Jared Leto's Joker in the movie?
Man, besides from it being a big meme and feeling like this was not real, or it was a fever dream, I
Society.
it's very weird from how he would sort of approach the character, but I definitely do prefer the look. If anything, he kind of reminds me of The Crow, with
With
Brandon Lee.
Brandon Lee. Yeah.
Yeah, with Brandon Lee from almost from afar. You know, of course, close up he does kind of look like, looks like Jared Leto probably on a
Right.
Sunday, uh, or like Jared Leto going through the woods naked.
In his hole.
In his hole, yeah, and
Right.
putting rats in people's lockers.
Well, hey man, look,
Uh,
he's got no damage on his forehead, so it's already,
no,
got
yeah,
points for me.
it's all good.
No little teardrop.
Yeah, no teardrop, none of that ha 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 tattoos
Yeah.
on his
Went the
face.
laser point surgery.
Oh yeah, the laser. None of that 24 karat diamond in his
I mean, right now he looked
forehead.
kind of cracked out, so he had to
Oh
get
yeah.
those diamonds to
I
the
definitely,
supplier.
if we're talking about connection within both the new Suicide Squad and within the Nightmare dream that Batman has with Jared Leto's new depiction of the Joker, I feel that the connection is sort of this. It's almost very, and it's going to sound weird, but I think that it's very similar to sort of Batman looking into the future within Infinite Earths. Maybe there is a different Earth where there is a very lighthearted sort of view on the DCEU, and maybe a Shazam could be a
Oh,
part of that
please.
Earth, and then
I would
with
hope so.
I would hope so. And everything has a little bit difference. Maybe Starro is the main villain compared to
Dark
compared to
side.
Steppenwolf or Darkseid. Yeah, or
Oaxis.
Lex. But no, I definitely think it's in reference to a future to how the Avengers was doing the whole thing about with WandaVision and with Doctor Strange, how but at a much more quicker pace than I would sort of
Then
very much enjoy,
you're preferred.
yeah, than I would prefer, because in Marvel, it took years, from 2008 to sort of that to 2015, where they were just making reference of like, oh, we're getting into, there's different sort of sides of this and stuff like that, and
Different
there's
worlds
multiple
and stuff.
different, yeah.
Yeah.
And then within the DCU, it's very new and very quick, but you know what, they're
Well, they
kind
had
of
no
catching
choice. Let's
No,
be
yeah.
honest.
They're catching up, to Marvel, but at the same time, I want them to take their pace,
Okay,
But
but
I'm
Brian, what
excited
do
to
you
see the
think of the
Snyder Cut.
Joker?
Oh no, I love the Joker.
Jesus.
You know me, Julius. I
Can
love
get a
this movie.
straight answer out of you.
I
Hey
love
Brian,
this
what's two
joke.
plus two? Oh well, if you look at
Well, if you
math in general, you can get quantum physics out of this society. Get out of
I'm a very talkative nerd,
yeah. Well, you
Julius.
maybe you should talk about what I'm asking, man.
No, I like the new look for Jared Leto. I
But
like
what?
well, no, what do you want me- I like that. I like the design that doesn't look really bad.
Well, it
I
reminds
think.
me of something you'd see in like Amnesia or
Ooh, yeah.
Bioshock, like with the surgeons, very
Yeah.
bloody
Or
take on
like a
it.
character from like Dead Space or something like
Yeah,
that. Or
yeah. I mean, I think his voice, I think, is already better. He's not
oh no,
doing
yeah.
some wigger
He looks
ass.
like he looks like someone from Resident Evil Biohazard.
Yeah, he actually does. Welcome to the swamps,
Welcome
boy.
to, welcome to the swamps.
So I'm hoping that he's good. What do you think of the line "We live in society"? I was actually shot. Her when I saw it, I was like shocked. I was like, wait, did he actually just say "We live in a
Yeah,
society"?
when
You
I
were the
saw
first
that,
thing I thought of.
yeah. When you showed me that trailer, I was like, "Wait, did I hear we live in a society?" And
We
he
live in a society
society,
where
Batman.
honor is a distant memory.
Oh man. I don't know. I think Zack Snyder is knowing why he's putting that line in there for a good little laugh in there from the fans. Um, I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna be that major within the film role. I think it's just gonna be like a sort of side note where Batman has this sort of spiritual journey, very similar to the Justice League, where he goes through this sort of very thinkative process of like, oh, Superman and stuff like that. But instead, it's going to be a little bit more expanded upon like sort of his own personal fears about like what is good and what is bad, and how the depiction of good from Superman is sort of was bad within his nightmare. Maybe this one we might see the depiction of bad of Jared Leto's Joker
Joker,
as
yeah.
good within his nightmare. Sort of seeing this sort of contrast within that Joker was saying how like society could have been fixed if Batman did this, if Batman
Right.
sort of did, if Batman did kill, which I mean he does in this newer universe,
In the
but
movie, yeah, he's kill. Well, that's
maybe
funny.
maybe he tells him don't kill.
Oh, you're okay, right. So what's funny about this is that it is a world nightmare where Batman is killing more, I guess. And
Mhm,
I'm hoping that the conversation comes up of that, uh, Batman, you're a killer now. You've turned
mhm,
into what you fought against. You turned into
mhm,
me. We are not different anymore. We're allies now.
mhm,
I'm almost certain that the Joker and him will be allies within this nightmare world where Darkseid and Superman are taking care of the business. And I'm waiting to see how I feel about that when I
mhm,
watch the film. Because for
mhm.
me, seeing Batman and Joker team up is just not something I've seen it in cartoons before and everything, but I'm just like, yeah, I'm not even down with it really there. But well, so we'll see how it works in an actual feature film.
In that film, yeah.
I'm hoping the writing. It is going to be the first time we see Ben Affleck's Batman interact with Jared Leto's Joker,
Mhm,
so I'm hoping it's good. I'm hoping it's iconic.
mhm,
The bar has been really raised. You've had Christian Bale and Heath Ledger and Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson. I want something really powerful when I see Batman and Joker meet up. So the fact that this Batman is one who uses an assault rifle, who is willing to do what it takes to fight
he just
evil,
shoots him. He straight up
I,
hears society and he just shoots him.
he'll probably just shoot him, especially if this Joker is the one who killed his Robin.
Mm.
I'm hoping that is brought up as well because, as we know, Robin was killed off screen.
Oh yeah.
All we saw was a suit.
What do we do with a fan beloved character? Kill him off screen and
Kill
don't
him off
explain
screen.
any relationship towards it.
Right. So I'm hoping that's brought up here.
If anything, it would be really cool if we saw a reference to Red Hood, maybe
Maybe.
that'd be, I would love
Maybe.
to watch that. A live action of Red Hood.
Well, yeah, maybe.
A
Who
rated
knows?
R version, They could really do anything similar to the choreography of The Punisher,
Maybe, man. You never know.
Maybe.
Let me ask you about another cut, okay?
Ah, yes.
One that's different than the Snyder cut.
Mhm.
It's something that fans are asking for.
Mm.
The director is asking for,
Hmm.
and maybe it could just happen.
Mm.
It is the Ayer cut of Suicide Squad.
Oh wow.
So apparently, because Suicide Squad was edited the way it was edited,
Mhm.
people have been clamoring for an Ayer cut. As a matter of fact, David Ayer himself has come out and said, "I want one of those." So, are you interested in this? What do you think could be different? And would you want to see it?
I would definitely like to see it. Very, I mean, I hate these cut things and stuff like that because I feel like it's so the corporations are so like really diminishing on the creativity of what the directors and what the writing team really wants to release and stuff. And I
Right.
feel like they would just allow them to sort of release it from the very beginning instead of having us as the fans sort of
Being
straight up
toyed
just
with almost.
cry for like 3 years for them to finally release one cut for.
But here's
But
my thing, man.
Mhm.
Why are they making like 4-hour films? It's like, you're not going to
True.
be able to put that in the theater.
True.
Like the theaters
They're
will
trying to be the
lose money.
godfather of DC.
They will lose money. The theaters will lose money. Like, you can only show it so many times in a day. That's not too many concessions being sold, man. Like, why?
True.
You know this.
But it definitely works now for a streaming service,
Right,
tool,
yeah.
because, with COVID and stuff like that. And that's the one sad reality within the sort of losing of movie theaters is now people are much more willing to watch a lot of things in longer periods of time, Like I just straight up watched all of Attack on Titan in less than one day. So like, I feel like a lot of people could binge watch a lot of the Marvel movies and a lot of
Yeah.
the Marvel stuff in like a good week,
Of course they could, and it would make sense too. I
Mhm.
just feel like I agree with you in that the
Yeah.
cuts
Definitely
can
from a
be.
definitely,
Well,
yeah.
well, hold on, because I do
Yeah.
agree with you. I'm trying to agree
Mhm.
with you, man. You
I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ. Hey, I agree with you. Oh, but then again, when it comes to these cuts, I feel like there's an attitude that comes around with it. Like, for instance, Batman vs Superman, right? It got
Mhm.
the Ultimate Edition, and then that came out, and people were hailing. See, it's good now. This is it. This is it. It's like, well, am I a sucker because I paid for the movie in theaters? Like, so you're basically calling me a sucker, right? Which is kind of how I feel about this Snyder Cut business, because that's obviously like you had two directors, two visions clashing.
Mhm.
People paid for it in theaters. People are paying for HBO Max to see this shit. It's like, man, the fans are really being toyed with when it comes to these cuts. Why don't you release them on the DVDs or the Blu-rays when that happens?
Mhm.
Right? I mean, why are you messing with the fans, dude?
Exactly.
And these fans need to hold themselves responsible as well. It's like, stop praising these studios that are doing this in the first place to us,
Exactly. Yeah.
My goodness.
I know, it's so annoying. Imagine they're like release the Godzilla cut, and it's just
Of what? Of the Roland Emmerich film?
yeah.
Yeah, why don't you release it so I can
It's
then
like
burn that?
slightly less darker, and there's like one more minute of
Oh,
Godzilla.
please. It's gonna no, dude. It's gonna be like more scenes of those Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel characters.
And we actually get one more minute of what was it? Bill Cranston's character.
You're talking about the 2014. I thought you were talking about the
Oh no,
the Matthew Broderick one.
the Matthew.
And Billy Cranston is a Power Ranger, not Heisenberg, you bastard.
I know.
Come on now.
Billy Cranston.
Well, Brian, we did it, man. We talked about
We did it.
The Suicide Squad Ayer cut in the journey to the Snyder Cut.
Mm-hmm.
We're on our way to the films we actually enjoy.
Oh yeah. I slightly enjoy it more.
Suicide Squad?
Yeah, slightly. Well, it's
like
a 5 out
cool,
of 10.
Man. That's you, man. That's cool. Yeah. I'm happy that you enjoy it. I'm happy that the people who enjoy it. Yeah. I wouldn't want to convince any, or at least go out of my way to argue with someone like, you're wrong. Like,
you're wrong. No, yeah.
That's a waste of time. Come on.
No, yeah.
But Brian, you are wrong. Aside from just about things,
about everything,
about everything, including this. But Brian, are you excited? My last question is: are you excited for the Snyder Cut coming out on March 18th?
Oh,
you're super excited.
Oh yeah, I am.
Jesus. Well, what grabs you?
Uh, I know that people don't really like the whole long hour stuff. I like the long hour stuff because I get to see more of the vision of the sort of director and what the writing team and what they want to sort of do. I also did not really enjoy the Justice League movie. I thought it could have been really better what they were trying to go for. I mean, when it came out, I was like, oh, they're trying to do Avengers already. Okay, I guess. You want to do at least like 2 more independent films, and so you can get on that sort of list. They
Right.
at least showed Thor and Captain America before they went straight away. I mean, they straight up just did. They straight up just did Man of Steel, and then then Batman versus Superman, which is just Civil War, and then they just did Justice League.
Well, and then Suicide Squad, and then Wonder Woman.
Yeah, and then Wonder Woman. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't really enjoy it that time, so hopefully it subverts my expectations for this new one. I'll have to definitely watch the original one first, and then do a much more better review on that on myself, putting some notes and some very key specific things like I hated or what I really enjoyed, and then compare that within the second movie and see what I enjoyed better. I mean, already Steppenwolf, I'm already loving just from the trailer so far. I mean, CGI, you know my points on CGI. I don't like it, but when it's needed, and it looks great.
Man, I'm hoping it's great, man.
But that Dark Side CGI though, that looks like a Rock'em Sock'em robot. What you showed?
What, in the latest trailer?
Yeah, that.
I thought it looked way better than what they had in the previous trailer.
Oh yeah. Wait, what was that one that we were making fun of a good night ago or something like that?
Well, I showed you the recent trailer where Joker in it.
Oh no, the one where it was like you had it like in stop motion where Darkseid was like this.
Oh, that was a fan thing.
Oh, never mind that.
Yeah. Well, you guys know where I'm coming from. We're going to continue. We're going to talk about other films, believe it or not, throughout this whole thing. I'm excited to do so, and get ready because we will be talking. I think the next one is going to be Wonder Woman, and we'll see what happens. So guys, thank you so much for listening. Brian, where can the people find you?
Of course. Well, people, you can find me on Instagram at @TheRealBrianCurriel, of course. And then you can also find me on YouTube. Don't subscribe to my channel. I don't do anything on there. But if you do want to check me out, you
can find me here, but I'd rather you didn't.
At Video Warrior 51. And then you can find me here as a guest speaker at the Goat Movie Podcast. Please,
guest commentator.
Yes, of course, commentator. You hit that like button, subscribe to Julius's channel. It's really amazing.
Please.
Both him and Angel do some amazing reviews and some really great work on here, and it's amazing.
Oh, thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. You're still fired.
Yeah. Remember, folks, we're trying to get to number 2. We gotta beat. We have to beat the Joe Rogan Experience and the Darkest Timeline podcast.
We don't talk about. Please, guys, subscribe so we can get to 10,000 subscribers, and once we do, maybe, just maybe, we'll get a goat cut.
Ooh.
And then I don't know what it'll be of, but it'll be of something. Guys, have a good one. Stay safe.
Release the goat cut now.
Would you let me?
No, never.
Would you let me?
No.
Stay safe and good.